I think what's hard right now is the temptation to be overly reliant on the AI assistants at this point. It's very tempting when we have like, hey, what the AI says you can rewrite this to be this, or maybe you can do this here and this there. It's very tempting to sort of say, oh yeah, that looks great. Why don't we just go with that? I think we have to balance the assistance from the AI with our own intuition and expertise and make sure that we're not overly reliant on the AI assistants at this point.
Welcome to the Knowledge Base Ninjas podcast, where Gauri Ramkumar of Document 360 finds the best SaaS self-service knowledge bases in the world and then interviews their creators. Let's get started with today's episode.
Good day, everyone. Our guest today is Luke Bayler, Technical Writing Manager at Google. Hi, Luke. Welcome to Knowledge Base Ninjas podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I am excited to talk to you and see what kind of questions you're going to ask me.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you as my guest today. So, Luke, before I ask any further questions, please help us understand a little bit more about yourself. How did you start this professional journey? I'm guessing it must be many, many years ago, but please brief a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know we have a limited time today, so I'll try to give a overall summary of my journey to and through tech writing. So I've been involved in tech writing in some way for all the way back around the year 2000. So I've always been interested in writing, and I've always been interested in what I feel like we do in tech writing, which is teach people how to do things. So I've always been interested in helping people learn how to do things. And because I like to write too, helping people do things through writing was kind of a natural inclination of mine. I never thought of it as a profession ever until I was working at a video game company, one of my first jobs out of college, and they had an opportunity arise for me to do some in-house documentation. And that was appealed to me. So I jumped on that opportunity, and something clicked in me at that time. I was like, oh, I could actually do this as a job. I could write, help people get things done by learning about technologies and then learning about what people wanted to do with those technologies and communicate and bridge that gap through writing. So shortly after that, I moved jobs to a different company and started working as a full-time technical writer way back in the year 2000. And I've had several tech writing jobs over the years. And just maybe 2-3 years ago, I switched into tech writing management, which has been a very positive shift for me. After so much experience doing technical documentation, it was a good way for me to learn how to sort of scale myself and have more influence on more projects rather than just the ones that I work on my own. And over the years as a tech writer, I've developed certain skills. Like I've learned how to really find clarity on what exactly it is I am writing and who exactly it is I'm writing for, and also to figure out what the important things are I need to communicate. And I've been able to translate those skills into my management job now. Of course, there's a whole other aspects of management too that I don't know if we're talking about today, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. When you said 2000, I had to really look at my calendar to see it's been 25 years. My God.
I know. I was hoping you want to say that. I am always hesitant to tell people how long it's been because, I'm up there. I've been I did take a little bit of a career break from tech writing. I took about, 5 to 10 years off. But then, I was trying to think back, like when was I really enjoying my job the most? And that was actually when I was a tech writer. So I was like, why don't we go try this again? And, here I am.
Great. And I also got a very important message when you were briefing, how did you get into this journey, is when you got the opportunity, you wanted to give it a try. And that's what people need to understand. Like, the opportunity doesn't come again, just grab the opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's a very good thing to call out. When we have opportunities like that, we're very fortunate to have those opportunities, and we should take them into careful consideration because we may not get another one. Right.
Right. Now, you also touch based upon your experience over the years. How do you balance the technical depth with user friendliness?
As with any sort of, I don't know if this is the golden rule of writing or whatnot, but we always need to be very aware of who we're writing for, right? That is something that we always have to come back to in any form of writing, whether you're doing personal journaling or you're writing a letter or a greeting card, anything like that. It's always like it's centered on who's going to be reading this at the end of the day and what they're going to be doing with it, which is more relevant to technical writing because people have tasks they want to accomplish. They don't always know the tasks they need to accomplish, but we'll set that aside for now. Assuming they have tasks they need to accomplish and they need a resource to help them accomplish those tasks, that is something that, from my point of view, is always needs to be front and center, and I can't forget that while I'm doing my writing tasks. Balancing, I think you're asking, how do I balance that with technical depth?
That's right, yeah.
I think
Because
that I mean, there may be a time and a place for going into the technical depth, but that will again depend on the audience, whether maybe the audience needs technical depth in a certain topic, or maybe they just need something that's really concise and clear and just tells them how to get something done, right? Where they don't even need the technical depth. So we may have a customer that needs to learn the technical background, or a customer that needs to just accomplish tasks without knowing the technical background. So we need to be able to present that information in different ways for the different audiences.
True. Just a small related question around that, Luke, if I'm allowed to ask.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
what does a well-structured technical writing process look like? Because the processes are also contributes to how deep you go based on the audience, right? So, according to you, what do you mean by a well-structured technical writing process?
So I think you're speaking to the technical writing process, as you just said. So what does that look like?
Yeah.
Uh, well, at a high level, well, we're going to assume that there's a need for a technical document. And then once we know that there's a need, we need to have some type of planning phase, right? So we need to clarify what tasks the user needs to accomplish with this document, and that could be anything. So there's planning. We also need to, it's kind of related to planning, but we need to, so planning, what I mean by that is like, what are like the general things we're going to cover? Are we going to cover, overview for X, overview for Y, overview for Z, and then maybe related tasks for each of those overviews, or any other type of technical content that we may have to. Maybe the customer needs to troubleshoot a problem that they have, or maybe they need to learn how to interact with a programming interface. So I'm going to use more overview and task-based material because it's easier to talk about.
Yeah.
At least right now. So after the planning, I would say that's just high level figuring out the things we need to write about. And then I would say complementing the planning would be some sort of scoping. So that would be like, these are the specific topics we're going to write. This is the order that they're going to be written in. This is how they're going to be presented in an outline. So we're starting to flesh out the structure of the documentation set. Then, and this may be happening even before the actual writing, which is interacting with subject matter experts. So the writer may have some degree of subject matter expertise, but there's probably several other people that know more than you. So I need to familiarize myself enough with what I'm documenting that I can approach subject matter experts with some sort of way to have a conversation with them about the technology, so I can inform myself enough to do the writing. Subject matter experts often love to tell you about the technology, as we were speaking about earlier. I don't necessarily want to include all that technical information in my document. I want to focus on what the user needs to accomplish. And if I do need that technical information, I can always go back and get it. But if we've planned and scoped the document in a way that we need to assist a user in completing certain tasks, I want to focus on delivering that content. And then after I've fleshed that out more, I can go into like a iterative review phase of content generation by in any way I want to conduct those reviews, whether that's through some sort of tooling, or I want to just like bring the document back to subject matter experts, or maybe someone who's interfacing directly with customers, and just make sure that the document is addressing the audience's needs.
Understand. Now, I'm sure you must have come across a number of documentation types and use cases to which those documents cater. Now, just on a very broad level, I'm going to take like 3 or 4 types: API docs, user guides, release notes, or any other documentation deliverables, right? Now, out of all these different types, which one do you think needs the most strategic thinking? And why?
I would say I'm gonna just pick one. Maybe yes, it's not. You could probably argue for other content types too, but I think that if you have, it can be difficult to be really clear about what the user tasks are. Making sure you have those that you're documenting exactly what the user needs to do. You know, whether that's task A, task B, task C. I would say clarifying those exact tasks and getting those right, so the user's not is not derailed at any point in completing their task. I would say that can be very hard, because there's many ways with technologies that users can sort of take a wrong turn and then not find their way back to where they need to be. And it can also be highly frustrating too. So if you're looking to complete a task and you're going through step 1, 2, 3, etc., and you take a wrong turn, you may not know how to get back to the task, and you may have to start all over again. And that can create a lot of user frustration. So I would say that is maybe not the hardest, but it's quite important.
Okay, great. Now, in this era of AI, what do you think underrated skill that every technical writer should develop?
An underrated skill. I mean, I think that we're clearly early with using AI with our tech writing jobs. There are some interesting ways that it can help us do our jobs right now. I think what's hard right now is the temptation to be overly reliant on the AI assistants at this point. It's very tempting when we have AI, hey, what the AI says, you can rewrite this to be this, or maybe you can do this here and this there. It's very tempting to sort of say, oh yeah, that looks great. Why don't we just go with that? I think we have to balance the assistance from the AI with our own intuition and expertise, and make sure that we're not overly reliant on the AI assistance at this point. So that's a new skill we have to learn, because we used to have I'm just going to go back a long ways, spell check. Hey, that checks, that's good. We can just accept that. That's great. I spelled these words wrong. Fine. I know that's a really simple example, but the temptation is there with AI too. It's like we just can accept the recommended changes. And I think we need to develop that skill of discerning what is actually a helpful recommendation from the AI and what is not. I think that's a skill that we're all going to have to learn.
Absolutely, because over a period of time, you might become complacent with what AI gives you, and then you may not want to, you might lose that skill of comprehending it further to do a little bit of different thinking.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, the temptation's there. I've seen it, and I've experienced it, and I just want to make sure that, when I'm authoring a doc, that I still feel like I'm authoring it too, because that's one of the intrinsic rewards of being a writer, is that you're producing something that people will get value from. And selfishly, I want to make sure I'm contributing value, and I'm not losing that along the way to something that maybe I'm trusting more than I should be at this point. That said, there's clearly going to be a role for AI in our jobs. I just don't think, I think that we're early with it, and it will be interesting to see where it goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, again, based on the number of contents you might have produced over the course of years, success means different for different scenarios, different documentation type, and of course, for different companies, right? Now, according to you, how do you measure the success of a great documentation deliverable?
That's also a good question. How to measure the success? I feel like I should know this answer off the top of my head. I this is maybe a shortcut answer, but if nobody says anything about it, that's success to me, right? No one's complaining about it, right?
Yeah.
That is like, okay, we haven't heard anything about it. That can be interpreted two ways. People are having success and they don't have anything to say. Of course, with that, maybe there's not a high level of engagement either. So I think success would be over some period of time, some period of months, that we have received some sort of feedback from the user that has shown that they're engaging with the documentation and they're taking time to give us thoughtful feedback on the document. That's success. So if we get a customer feedback, we get customer feedback that may say something like, it's thoughtful. Say, hey, I've been reading this document. I was going along, I got to step 7, and all of a sudden I ran into a problem here. I was able to come back and finish my task, but you could do a little bit more of improvement here because it wasn't clear to me what I was supposed to do. Any sort of thoughtful feedback on a document, or from my point of view as a tech writer, is highly valuable. It shows me that they were using the document and they cared enough to reach back out to the author and give them their feedback. That's
Absolutely.
success to me.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah. I used to always tell my team that when we do the weekly reports, right? Like if there are no support tickets, it could be taken in two ways. Either everybody's happy, there's nothing to complain in the product, or nobody's using the product.
Exactly. Yeah. There's two ways to take it, and just engagement with the document is good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's all those feedback is what makes you become a better writer, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. Feedback is gold when you're a writer, right? It's like, if no one's saying anything, you're kind of relieved, but you're also, a part of you is like, I really wish somebody would say something because I want to know
Yeah,
if I hit it or not. Right.
yeah. A thumbs up is also fine.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's also a little bit, I always felt like, kind of, really, part of me wants to hear like them say something about it.
Yeah,
Like, this was helpful, thank you, or some sort of validation is great, or critical feedback is great too. Of course, as a tech writer, you're kind of, you're bearing your soul in some way, and you're a little bit afraid to get the feedback, but you still want it. You want to, like, I want to know what people think about it so I can do
yeah.
better the next time.
Do better. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, let me give you some good news. They look all my tough questions are done now, so you can relax a bit. It's
Oof.
going to
All
be the
right.
rapid fire questions, which is going to be very easy
Great.
for you. I'm sure you read a lot of contents, either through web or through books. Please help us with some titles that would benefit the audiences today.
You know what? I really liked a book about writing in general, not specifically tech writing, but Stephen King wrote a book about writing that I really liked. It's a little bit, it might be interesting to some people in the audience out here. Um, you know, Tom Johnson has a great tech writing blog. I will say I am super impressed with that blog. I don't really read it much anymore, but I stumbled across that one day and was kind of taken aback by how much thought and effort is put into that. I'm really impressed with that blog. If tech writers out there don't know about it, highly recommend checking it out.
I mean, those two are brilliant resources, and I just want only one word that comes to your mind when someone says documentation.
One word, it can't be an emotion. Let's see, one word. One word that comes to mind when someone says documentation, questions. I have a lot of questions about, like, when someone says documentation, I'm like, okay, what do they even mean by that sometimes? So curiosity, I'm just curious. I know that's way more than
Right.
one word.
All right. I'll take two words separately. Yes, one word. That's okay. Okay. My last question to you is, what is that one piece of documentation related advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
One piece for my 20-year-old self. I would say read more, read more, read outside of, read things that you wouldn't normally read. Expose yourself to different writing types. Focus not only on your writing skills, but on your speaking skills too. I think that is a huge asset to any tech writer out there, is also developing their communication skills. I wish I would have started that way sooner. That would probably be my main advice, would be work on your communication skills, not just your writing skills.
Absolutely, because you need to present it as well, right? Apart from writing a brilliant resource. Great.
Definitely.
Now, look, it's not an easy job to summarize your entire experience in this 20 minutes, but I hope I did my best to gain some of your knowledge to the audience today. But anything else that you would like to add that you thought should be shared with the audiences?
Just yeah, some final words. I think I hinted at this at the beginning, but I think if people have inclinations around writing and learning and teaching, and those are, for me, have been my three sort of personality traits that have really helped me in my career. So yeah, just the interest in learning things, interest in communicating them to others, and also any sort of interest in the writing process, I think are huge assets to anyone interested in technical writing.
Thank you. That's great. So yeah, I don't know how time went, but amazing episode, Luke. And thank you once
Thank
again
you.
for taking your time and sharing some of your brilliant experiences, particularly your journey into this exciting field. And all I can do is wish you all the very best for your future projects. And let's see if we can meet again in another great episode.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Knowledge Base Ninjas podcast. Please head to iTunes, rate, and provide honest feedback on the podcast. See you next week.